Heidi ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. This is the final TTR UK session for the week, and my final TTR UK session for a week. Well, week and a bit, really, if you count the weekend after next week, something like that, 10 days or whatever. Anyway, I am looking forward to a break, but I am looking forward also to getting some money in the bank before the week does end. Of course, we've got today and tomorrow to go, but so far just a crappy old week. Not many potential entries for me, and those that are have probably happened at wrong times or wrong places. This is one of them. Oh, hang on a sec. I've got some feedback coming at me. Okay, that's a bit better. Pound US dollar, which we traded yesterday, that was a loser on the breakout trade. You know, that's not supposed to, it's not supposed to happen. That is not supposed to happen. But it did, and it does, and something up with which we must put. And it's absolutely typical of what the pound's been doing of recent times, except when it breaks out. Did it there, did it there, did it there, 3 times in a day, did it there. It's a crazy currency at the moment, really is, and tough to get your head around. And then you can go to things like dollar yen as well. Oh, perish the thought. Anyway, let's not talk about that too much until we've placed the breakout trade for today. We are in front for the week, but barely on the breakout trade at least. What do I need? I need my little helper, the little EA, to tell me what we're doing. And we're buying at 127.68. That's probably safe to put in the market. 127.68 and 127.23 is the stop loss. And again, for those of you joining us for the first time, this is in test mode. This is not a proven trading strategy. So do not put lots of hard-earned money on the line. Okay, so that's the buy. The stop for the buy is 127.23, and therefore that becomes the entry for the sell. Now that may change if the market moves just a little bit in the next, minute and 5 seconds. But I will put it up there and change if necessary. So 127.23 and 127.68. So pretty tight range there this morning. That can be good or bad. So we won't read too much into that just yet. We'll see if that is actually going to be the price that we use. We can, I think, put the buy order in, or we can put the entry for the buy order in. Let's put it that way, which is, as I said, 127.68, and I'll put the stop loss in so we can get a head start. 127.23. Rightio, we need to wait 10 seconds only, and that will be valid. Righto, that'll do me. New candle, there we go. So, oh, that sucks. Buy stop. Place. That's better. And the sell. $127.23. Stop loss. 127.68. Okay, our work is done for now. We would dearly like that to go south to help us out with that daily trade that we took yesterday, which is floundering, absolutely floundering. So nothing more to do there. That's all good. Let's see if we can analyze this stupid thing. Okay, so yesterday we attempted to trade the false break, the one candle false break. And you can see most clearly that we got tipped into that. And now at big threat have been taken out of it as well. The stop loss is above here, 27.70 something from memory. 27.71. That's right. So we're up around about, not quite that high, just above DR1. So we do have some help, but it is a little bit fragile with the market looking now like it wants to go long, most definitely. I say again, this is not supposed to happen. If this is going, it should just go, not come back and re-enter the box and then bounce. It's, yeah, it happens, as I said, but it's very, very unusual that that is the case. Anyway, let's move on. If I was trading this today and not in a trade, so I had nothing to concern me, what would I do? Well, I'll be waiting for that double top to appear or otherwise, or if we do get a lower high here, then maybe we could, although we don't have a reversal pattern, we've only got a reversal bar, not a reversal pattern. So it really isn't there until the double top actually appears. Untested daily pivot, as usual, would be looking for that to happen. But if you look at what the pound does, then it's bound to happen anyway. It's just a matter of which way it's going to work. Is it going to come down first, then go up? Or is it going to go up, then come down? Yeah, good question. M topping pattern is possible here, and that's probably what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. What's an M topping pattern, I hear you say? Well, it looks pretty much as I've got. Ronald McDonald, if you like. The Golden Arches. I should have made them golden, shouldn't I? Where's my poetic license? Hi, Swee. G'day, Sino. Jimmy, how you doing? Dollar yen. I want to sell dollar yen. I'll have a look at that. Sanjay, how are you? Pound yen hit your stop loss yesterday. Pound yen. Well, when were we trading pound yen? What are the standard management, if any, for trades not supposed to happen under your strategy? For example, pound US dollar. It depends on the risk I put on the table, to be frank, Sino. If I've got a full risk on the table, which is very, very rare and certainly not happening in this market, I've got to have everything line up to be a full scale or full risk trade. But when I do, then I'll manage it very, very closely. And generally, if it'll go beyond half of my stop loss, or if I've got a TP1 at, let's say, 1/3 of my stop loss, then as soon as I go through 1/3 backwards, in other words, into negative 1/3 of that stop loss, I will close probably half the position, therefore limiting my loss if it goes any further. That's as far as I go, really. That'll do. Because I've then taken the risk off the table. Well, sorry, not the entire risk. I've taken half the risk off the table. And it will then depend on what I see in price action. It's all about price. Generally, if I'm in a trade, let's talk about yesterday's trade, if you like. That's pound US dollar. So what do you do here? I'm asleep when all this is happening anyway. It's a daily chart. I don't really need to worry too much about it. And if I go down the time frames, what possible reason have I got to change my mind? Except when it starts to go like that, of course. But by the time it's gone there, it's too late, you know. So the rule is, if I've got full risk on the table, then once I've reached wherever TP1 is, did I nominate a TP1? Let me see. Yes, I did 125.90. So let's address that. So 125.90 is what, 41 pips from entry. So if I went 41 pips backwards, then, and I was in front of the charts, I would then, if I was at full risk, and I wasn't at full risk, and I'm not in this market, I would close half the position and therefore limit my loss. But that's about it. Once it's gone beyond that point, I'm in the lap of the gods anyway, and something's wrong. I can either close it or just close my eyes and wait and see what happens. And that's probably what I do. Oh, Sanjay, you traded it on your own. Okay. You want to share? We can share that if you like. No problem. If I'm trading at, let's say, quarter of normal risk, which is in this case what I did, then I just let it go. I'm quite happy to lose. Well, that's the wrong terminology. I'm not happy ever to lose money. But if I'm only risking 1/4%, then I'll just let it go to stop loss. That's the way I deal with it. And, you know, if you've, which is what, I think we've had 3 losing trades in the last 2 weeks. And max, I think I'm down 1% on those 3 trades. I've picked up a little bit elsewhere, but I'm only, you know, marginally down. It's not the end of the world for me. And that's why I do what I do. I'm a very conservative trader, and I don't put full risk on the table unless the conditions are in my favor, and they're not. So I've got no reason to do that. So that's, I manage my trades well before I get into them, I suppose, is the way I approach the market. If it's risky, then I adjust my risk. If it's full on and looks fantastic, then I'll ride the wave and see what happens. Greetings to you, Dennis, on this sensational Thursday. Do we need to stay in pound, sell that we take? Yes. But again, you know, depends on how much risk you put on the trade. And it's too late now, I would have thought, to do anything about it, because you're more than halfway to your stop loss. But if it were to come down here at your entry, then I definitely, if you're at full risk, I'd definitely take something off the table, because it could then bounce again and you're back in trouble. But if you're, you know, at 1/4% of risk as I am, then you know, it's not a big deal. What were we looking at? Sorry, a couple of trades. Or pound yen. What was the other one? Dollar yen H4. Let's have a quick squeeze. I'm glad you guys are looking at something. I've got 4 things to look at, and that's it from my point of view. What was that was just going south? Don't know. H4 as a lower high here. I get where you're coming from. If that were a white bar, I'd be in agreement. Daily pivot's dead ahead, so you have to take profit at that point. From my point of view, these candles are not what I need to trade. And also, not really, yeah, actually like that. That's good. That's good, break and retest. So yeah, I like the directional bias, absolutely like it. And of course, I do have a longer term directional bias on this pair. But it's not my methodology, I'll put it that way. I can totally see the trade that you'd want to take. And there are many strategies that would be in that market right now on that candle, but mine isn't one of them. So what I'm trying to do here is actually show you guys the way my system works. And I can't give you comments on other strategies. Not that I know them, but yeah, it's all about, you know, my thing, my domestic little strategy that I've got running in the corner. And it's, you know, up to putty this week because there are no opportunities. And those that are, as I say, are either happening at the wrong time or not happening at all, or giving me a hard time. But, you know, we've only taken 3 trades in 2 weeks in this show, I think. And none of them any good, I've got to say. That's the way it rolls sometimes. You've just got to sweat it out and it'll come good. Daily pivot's an issue here, I've got to say. What would I like to see to trade this? Well, here's how I would like to trade this. There's the hint of a false break, but it's not quite there. I'd like to see price bounce off the daily pivot and maybe find this high again, then come back underneath it and retest it. That gives me the opportunity to go short. So I'm with you in terms of directional bias, but my strategy won't allow me to go short there, especially with an untested daily pivot dead ahead. G'day, Shukri. Hi, one. Ronald McDonald, the coach of Brisbane, wrong. Yep. Could you advise your opinion on Euro Swiss? I took a long trade, so should I keep it on or close it? Thanks. Wow, it depends why you took it, I suppose. Karthik. Subra. Euro Swiss. I'm a bear, Euro Swiss, I've got to say. So what I say next, you may not want to hear. But let's have a look. Wrong account, Euro Swiss. Okay, here's why I'm a Euro bear. And you saw Ronald McDonald that I drew not long ago. And I'm a massive fan of symmetry in markets, especially when we've had a nice little run up as we've had here. There's a very clear double top sitting here for mine. I'm on a 4-hour chart. Go to a daily chart, it looks more like a tweezer top. Great, don't mind tweezer tops, but they've got to be in the right posi. And this one, I've got to say, is not perfect, but it is at a former resistance level, which is here. So support here, resistance here. And that last resistance did send the market quite some distance. So it's a level that the market is very, very aware of. So for that reason, I see the potential for this to fall. And if it's going to do that, it's got to do a lot of work to get through the monthly pivot and the weekly pivot, which at this point is untested, I've got to say. So it's not a fait accompli once again. And this goes back to what I was saying before. If I'm going to trade this short, and I won't until I get the right signal, then I would trade this at reduced risk because we do have these pivots dead ahead. So I will do that and also take profit before we get there. But the way I see this is there as a double top has formed. We got bearish engulfing bar last time and fell to the monthly pivot. We got another bearish engulfing bar at the top of this double top. So as soon as I see a daily pivot test and a reversal bar or a lower high in this vicinity here, I'll be going short. That's my analysis on this pair. Can it go long? Absolutely, it can go long. You've got to remember, of course, that we've been a massive, massive momentum, especially on the euro, to the high side. And we have been risk on all week long, which means that the Swissy should be weak if that risk on mentality maintains its stature, if you like, or the market sentiment remains the same. What's going to change that market sentiment is the question. And I don't have an answer to that. There's no news out today, or no scheduled news out today. Anything can happen at any time, of course. You might have an issue with Brexit. You might have, I don't know, a trade war explode in our face again, or all sorts of things. Coronavirus might have some weird and wonderful numbers for us. The vaccines that have been put forward and being trialed on humans at the moment may come down around our ears, and they say they're going to kill us rather than make us better. So, you know, all those sorts of things that are hot items at the moment are likely to to manipulate the market far greater than a double top, for instance. So there's always risk, inherent risk. But when you're at a technical level, as we are, and we've got a double top staring us in the face, the only way I can trade this is short. But I can't trade it short until I see this lower high that I'm looking for. Because as it stands, we've got a double top only. Now, if you're a scalper and you trade double tops per se, don't need anything else, then you're probably in the market already. If you're trading long with trend, which was the question, I'm not a trend trader, so I don't know when to get out of trends. I just don't trade trends. But this is a clear signal to me that the market has the potential to fall. And when I see that and I am in a long position, I do two things. I take profit and I move my stops tight. So that if and when it does reverse, I haven't lost all the money that I've had in the table. If I'm not in profit, then that's a bit of an issue. Again, going back to what I said before about my position on pound US dollar on the daily chart, if I've got full risk on the table and I go whatever my TP1 was in reverse, so negative TP1 if you like, then I'll take TP1 in negative. So if you're prepared to take a TP1 at plus 30 or whatever it is, then you've got to be prepared to take a negative TP1 at minus 30, because the chances are you're wrong, and you then want to mitigate your losses. So, you know, what goes for one goes for the other. That's the way I manage it anyway. So there's my answer to Euro Swissy. As I said, it's probably not what you want to hear, but if you're in profit, I would seriously be thinking about taking something off the table, because the chances of it rallying are good, but the chances of putting in a lower high are also very good. And it's kind of that little pocket there, maybe even the daily pivot, where I would be looking to, if you get there, to take some profit off the table and move my stops very tight. So I hope that helps. What will constitute a good entry into pound Kiwi long? Nearly there, nearly there. That bar there that I saw this morning. You're welcome, Subra. Welcome. What was I talking about? Oh, this bar. Sorry, I get distracted easily, don't I? I've cancelled that order, have I? It must have expired on me. We traded this bar yesterday, right? And of course, like many of our orders this week, in fact, I think 10 I've had on the markets that just didn't get entered. That's highly irregular, but in a trending market, not unusual. So we were trading this as a pretty much an ABC. A being the break of this trend line here, B being the retest of it, not only the trend line, but the weekly pivot, and C being, well, if all things went well, maybe 220, something like that. But, you know, in reality, we're thinking about taking profit here and then going with the flow, as I pointed out yesterday. What I see this side, I expect to see repeated on that side if we reverse. And now what would constitute a good entry? Well, I think, you know, if you want to trade one bar, then that one there qualifies. It's dodgy because you're trading into the weekly pivot again. So the way I approach that is I want to get some money in the bank before that happens, before the weekly pivot occurs. So we just drill down into the time frames. We've got a clear double bottom sitting here. What we want to see is a higher low. And at this point in time, that isn't evident. But if this candle, pardon me, were to retrace, say, back to here, then that becomes a tradable commodity as far as I'm concerned. So in an hour and a half, if we've got, well, what would look like a hammer, then I reckon that'd be okay to trade. That's probably the next opportunity, I reckon. Shukri, that's what I'd be looking for at this point in time. If that doesn't happen and we just go into a bit of consolidation here, I want to, again, as this is done, and this is what I look for, right? I look for the rally to a formal level of support or resistance. In this case, it was support that has acted as resistance, which is exactly what you want it to do, and then get a pullback. And what that achieves for us is, I'll draw it for you. What that achieves for us is we've already got a reversal pattern, okay, which is what we're looking for at all times. Once we've got that, in fact, we've got more than that. We've got a big bullish engulfing bar, which is telling, and I think that qualifies as a ring low as well. So there would be people already into that. That's not the way I trade. I wait for that to hit this resistance area, then pull back, and then give me a higher low. Now, what that tells me is that this bar here is a quality bar. It's told us that the market's coming off this low. And these dudes here who drove the market down haven't got enough, I won't say balls, but I'll say balls, to drive the market beyond the lows. So technically, a higher low is the signal that I'm looking for to say, well, okay, these guys are giving up for the moment and these guys are in control. So let's go with these guys, and away we go. Of course, we take profit at resistance, get some risk off the table. And then if we come back in here, we can take some more risk off the table and we get a pullback to, say, this line, and we can put some more risk on the table there, looking for that. So that's how I deal with every single day of my life, really. Nothing changes. I'm either looking for that here off the bottoms. I'm looking for it here after we come into the range, back into the range. So we've got a false break there. Didn't get what we wanted here, really. And that happens. And that's been happening very frequently in the last couple of weeks, where our structures are there, very clear, but we're not getting the leg up that we need. And the leg up that we need is this lower high when we come back inside. And it'll be the same here. I'll be looking for a higher low when we come back inside. So it's just a repetitive scenario every single day of my life, as I said, is the same. It doesn't always work, like everything doesn't always work. And is it frustrating when you don't get the setup? Hell yes. But you learn to live with it. It's like all disappointments in life. You just learn to live with it. Pound update. Do we need to stay in that sell order? Okay, you've got it now, Sanjay. Yep. Okay, cool. We need to, because otherwise we've got nothing going for us. How's it going? Are we coming off the highs? We're in the short already. Okay. Now, what's your position, guys, on we're nowhere near entry? No. We're still only, what was the entry? 26.49, and we were at 27.22. So you're 73 pips in the wrong direction, and the stop loss was 122. So you're just about better than, or you're a little bit worse than halfway at the moment. And as I said, if you've got a lot of risk on the table in this trade, then you can mitigate that. Hopefully you'll hit the daily pivot. That's probably around about where you, if you're thinking about taking something off the table, that's where you'd probably want to take something off the table. Don't be scared to take something off when you're in the wrong direction. But yeah, I'm hanging on there because I haven't got massive risk on the table. The sixth bar is a ring low. Maybe you can place buy stop at the close of the next long buyer bar. Are we back on what pair, Sweet? Pound Kiwi, okay. Yep, it is a ring low, as I said. And I don't trade ring lows, but I know people, of course, who do, and they do so very successfully. So if you want to trade a ring low, then wouldn't you be in trouble at the moment? 6 bar ring maybe can place buy stop at the close of the next long buy bar, which would probably be your higher low, yeah? What we're looking to do here is trade the higher low. So if I were to get what, that bar there, or that bar there, or that bar there, or that bar there, as this bar, then I would trade it. I wouldn't need to wait for the next one. Because as you say, we've already got the ring low. And I don't know how you're supposed to trade ring lows, but the way I do it all the time is wait for that higher low. And this could be it. It may not be. In fact, it could keep going for all I know. And that would be also good for the pound trade that we're in. But I'll be looking to trade this long if this has got a long leg on it, that's for sure. You can count on that. CAD Swift daily high test bar, good for sell. CAD Swiss. Yeah, we had an order on this yesterday, or was it last night? I can't remember where we placed this. That, again, just another one of those that didn't get taken into the market. I was short underneath this bar here and playing a false break of the resistance trade line. The one thing that was a bit spooky about it was trading at this low level and into these lows. But I think were we taking profit before that? I can't remember what our take profit levels were. I imagine they were, yes. Same today, of course. You've got now what amounts to inside bars, apart from this bar you're talking about. And when I saw that, I thought that was a good thing. But if you really analyze what's going on here, it's a whole lot of nothing. The weekly pivot from last week has carried on to this week. So there's been no bump in the road at all. And we've really been at this level for the longest time. So since what, the 25th of June, even back before that, it's just respected this level, but it hangs around here, it's sticking. How many? Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the last 20 bars have been at the weekly pivot, which is now 2 weeks old. So that's really telling me we need to wait for this to get out of here. You can anticipate the breakout, absolutely. But again, at full risk, that's a really risky trade. And once again, that's why we traded this or look to trade this at a very small risk factor. That's kind of the key to my strategy. And that's why the strategy is such a low drawdown strategy, because we rate every single trade that we take based on those risk factors. So, it's a matter, and those of you in my strategy leader coaching session this evening will get a very much expanded version of that. It's all about context, and the context here is not fantastic. We are just going sideways at the end of the day. So that's my answer to that one. I'm not really giving you guys any answers you want to hear, I'm sure, but it's the way it is. So what am I looking at today? Hang on, I'll have a sip of my water. It's bang on the half hour, so we should be looking at 30-minute charts. I've got, as I said, 5 on my list to have a little gawk at today. Something similar on Euro Kiwi. Euro Kiwi is on my list, so I'll go straight there. Yeah, Euro Kiwi is a little bit more confusing because of this bar and the gap that we had over the weekend. The gap closed instantly, and that looked like, for all intents and purposes, as though this would carry on. But alas, here we sit. And the Kiwis had a good day yesterday, and I think so far today, I haven't had a look at it today, but you can see exactly the same thing. Price is doing absolutely nothing and straddling the weekly pivot for the last 2 weeks. So yes, breakout time. And if I'm absolutely desperate to place a trade here, I'm going to put a trade above here. But I'm not desperate. Well, I'm getting to the desperate. No, I'm not. If you trade in desperation, you're in trouble. But I can totally see a slingshot set up here. Totally see a slingshot set up here. And as you say, Dennis, yes, the Kiwi is super strong. I haven't looked at it today, as I said, but I know it was on the way. So that makes that all the more difficult to trade against it. But so is the euro being strong. I think the euro's come off a bit today. But on balance, why? What's stopping the euro today? I don't know, if anything, because there's no reason apart from the fact that we've come. Well, let me have a look at the technical level. We are. You'll go wider, don't you? Because we haven't been here for so long. We're banged through that, as we've noted. We've got to come back to it at some stage. And yes, absolutely, I totally get that. And have been calling for it for maybe 2 weeks now as it shot through it. But here's the level we're at. So it is a level. It's let's call it 116, shall we? So we've probably got a little bit left in this. It's also that major trend line that's coming off the top. So you would expect technically that there'll be people in this move prepared to take profit at that point. So for that reason, and that reason alone, you've reached a technical level. Therefore, there will be profit taken here. This will retrace. One would expect. But haven't I been saying that for 2 weeks? And it hasn't. But I've still got to follow the same formula, and the same formula says to me that yes, the euro is due to retrace. Now, if you have a look at the Kiwi and look for a similar scenario and don't find it, then you've got a reason to think that the Kiwi can outperform the euro today. And I would venture as far to say that that is probably the case. We've probably skipped through that level already. And I would venture to say that we're on the way to here. So that gives me a bias short Euro Kiwi on that premise alone. So add that to what I just said on both the previous two pairs, Euro Kiwi being the latest. Why would I want to get in here, especially long? If I want to trade at all, I've got to go with that bias that we just created, and that's got to be short Euro Kiwi. But I ain't doing it because I have. Well, in all honesty, there is a little slingshot scenario sitting there, so I could trade that bar short, put a stop loss above it. But how do I know now is the time that this is going to break out? The M topping pattern has been destroyed. So all I see really is a mess. So if this was going to be symmetrical, which I expect the market to be, then we would be down here now. When that doesn't happen, I've got to ask myself why it doesn't happen. And the answer I come up with most often is because something else is happening. And if something else is happening, then potentially we'll go here and back to here, put in a triple top, and then go. I don't know. It's all, crystal ball stuff, to be honest. But when I gaze into my crystal ball, that's what I see. So the answer at the end of the day is wait. And I've had to do a fair bit of that. over the past couple of weeks. It is true. The potential slingshot entry bar on Euro Kiwi H4 for the short is way more than 30 pips, so it would be against your rule to take it, right? Sino no, and the reason is H1 30-minute has that rule. H4 does not. H4 can pretty much be anything based on what I see in front of me. So, you know, if I've got a massive support level, then inside of 20 pips, then maybe 20 pips is the stop loss. If I've got one that's 70, then maybe 70 pips is the stop loss. It depends entirely on what the market structure is, not on numbers. Shukri up like the Corona rally, haha, but nasty. When things go risk off, shouldn't pound Kiwi and Euro Kiwi go up like the Corona rally? When things go risk off, shouldn't pound Kiwi and Euro Kiwi go up? No, not in my opinion, because the risk on currencies are generally accepted to be the commodity currencies, like the Kiwi, the Aussie, and the Canadian dollar. That's what we're looking for. Those three currencies to be strong in a risk-on situation. In a risk-off situation, obviously the reverse applies, and the two inverted commas safe haven currencies, yen and Swissy, do the opposite, right? So in a risk-on situation, you would expect the yen and the Swissy to be weaker. In a risk-off situation, you would expect the yen and the Swissy to be stronger. Now, you can't count on that because there are always other factors in play, like intervention from the BOJ, like the price of iron ore crashing in a risk-on situation that will drag the Aussie back. So there's no such thing as a hard and fast rule. So as soon as you determine that the market sentiment is risk on, you don't just go and plonk a whole bunch of dough on the Aussie versus the US dollar. It probably will go that way, but you know, you're going to, at some stage, have to come to the realization that you have to have a system and a method of getting into the market rather than just going, okay, here's the risk on situation, let's do it. It can work for periods of time, but long term, I think we'd all be doing that if it was a winning strategy, long term. Dennis, I've got no idea, mate, when that is. They just tell me when the master trader course is on. I don't know. Contacted, sorry, mate, to do this to you. Contacted Actions to Wealth. Now is risk on today? Yeah, half-heartedly. Let's take a look. How do we work that out? We go to my relative strength indicator, which for me is a website that does all the work for me called FinViz. So let me share that chart with you. So I don't have to go and have a look at all the charts and determine whether we're risk on or risk off. I just go to here, and I'm on a monthly scenario at the moment, which doesn't mean the month of July. It means 1 month of trading. It's nearly the month of July, but it's 1 week back into June as well. Hopefully you can see that chart. Yes, you can. So over the month, the last month, Aussie, Kiwi, Euro, but not the CAD. The CAD's been held back by something. But these two are risk-on currencies. Interestingly, the Swissy is in the mix there as well, but you can see the yen is flailing in that scenario. If you go back to the week, which was kind of a week ago, Aussie, Kiwi, CAD, risk on. Swissy yen down the bottom, risk off. Daily chart. So this is today, right? Kiwi, CAD, Swiss is interesting. Aussie's off a bit. Pound is off. So we've kind of got a little bit of a switcheroo going on here. Interestingly, the Kiwi, as we said earlier, Dennis, is flying. The CAD's going with it, but it drops very, very quickly down to, and the Swiss is interesting, really interesting, because you've got a risk off currency mixed in with two risk on currencies. I think that's probably telling you something. And the thing it's telling me is that maybe the market hasn't got a bloody clue right now. Maybe its sentiment has wavered a little bit. Maybe we've come to the point where these trends are, I won't say ending because I don't believe that's the case, but they're certainly slowing down and they're looking for retracement. So people are going to take profit. So I think I'm seeing that, you know, in this chart. And when you learn, I guess, how to analyze that, when it starts to get mixed up, then you've got a scenario where the market is potentially going sideways. And I think that's probably what we're likely to see in the next little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of whether I measure the market as risk on, risk off. And right now I'm seeing a mixture. The pound weak as lolly water, and that's been the case. If you go to the quarter, the pound is one of the worst performing currencies. Half year, pound is the worst performing currency. So how do you reconcile that? Well, there's many ways to do it, but if you follow that chart and go through the days and the years and the months and blah, 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 and you see that these gaps have widened, so the euro and the pound in particular, the gap over the half year is massive, you know, like 8% or something, 7.5%. And you've got to remember this is all relative to the US dollar. It's not relative to each other, but there's a relative strength indicator there for you. And then you go back to today, pound, euro, the gap is massive, right? Today, pound, euro, they're coming back together. So there's only 0.17 difference between them in relative strength versus the US dollar. That's kind of telling me something too. Maybe there's a switcheroo on, maybe. Doesn't mean it is, but it puts the thought process in your mind. Okay, so I hope that's more helpful than confusing. That takes a bit of working out, that one. It's relative strength is an incredible thing, but very useful thing, I've got to say. Did I get to the pairs that I'm looking at today? I don't think I have yet, but that's okay. The US is complaining today about Swiss being currency, yes, and want to take action. What are they going to do now? Blow up Switzerland? This is classic deflection, in my humble opinion. Aren't we in, what's today? The 23rd of July. We've got 3 months and a little bit more before Donald Trump gets annihilated in the polls. He's got to do something, and it looks like he's pulling out every trick in the book that he can. Clog up the hole. Yeah, there you go. I have a political economy question. Oh, wow. And you're asking me, Simon. I can understand why Swiss is a safe haven currency as the country is a banking country, but why is super low interest Japan yen a safe haven? It's got nothing to do with their low interest rate, as I understand it. This is way, way traditional and really very little to do with what takes place in the current environment. Yet the market still dictates or determines that the yen is a safe haven currency. Stability, I think, is the word that we're probably looking for over a long period of time for that particular currency, versus, say, the pound, for instance, right now, which has gone from God knows where to God knows where. The US dollar is going to be falling out of favor as what used to be a risk-on currency, risk-off currency, for the same reason, because of stability and long-term performance. So, it's not necessarily, in fact, it's not, in my mind, judged on current events. It is historic. It's like, I suppose, gold in many ways. And that's why we're seeing gold rally now, because historically, it has been the go-to safe haven. But that is underpinned by a physical being, right? Or a physical piece of metal that you can hang on to. Whereas currency these days is just a whole lot of made up numbers that really are coming into their own right now, in particular the US dollar, where we don't see anything underpinning that US dollar. And that's why it's falling out of the sky right now. Because like Swiss cheese, it's got a lot of holes in it, Dennis, absolutely. And I want to have a big look at things like cryptos, because something's going to give. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't for one second think it's a one single coin like Bitcoin. I don't think that will be the case. But there's something has to take place, because all the money that's been printed over the many, many years that I've been watching it printed, in particular in the US, they're the world champions, right? That can't continue. It has to devalue the currency long term. Maybe this is the beginning of that. Maybe we see the switcheroo on the way, where we go from, certainly from the US dollar as a base currency, to where? Question mark, question mark. Is it the yuan? Is it the yen? Is it the Swissy? Don't know. I can't tell you that, but Shukri can tell me. DeFi pools, become a farmer. There you go. I'm going to listen, Shukri. Don't worry, I'll be listening. The switcheroo to whatever, that's right. If we knew what the whatever was and could take advantage of that, then we're probably in the right time in history to actually do that, because it will happen, in my humble opinion. But what it looks like, absolutely no bloody idea. Could be the dong, could absolutely. The Mexican pay, oh no, they're in trouble. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? What time is it, for goodness sake? 12 minutes to the top of the hour, and I still haven't had a look at anything. Pound US dollar, what's it doing? Not a whole lot. It's hit the daily pivot, and yeah, whipsaw bar. We need, that's not going to help much at all, that bar there, as our first, if we do go short here, because we'll have to trail to here, right? Big deal. Well, it's helped, but it hasn't helped that much. Anyway, that's a long way from now. Right, back to where we started some time ago. Euro Kiwi, we're looking at that, and we decided that that was a cross through here. Yet I can make a case for either direction. I've got a slingshot scenario that says long, and I've got a slingshot scenario that says short. Would I be prepared to trade that as an OCO is the next question. No, because I don't think this is going to break out just yet. I think we're in a holding pattern today. Maybe reversals, maybe retracements, but on balance, I'm not seeing anything that can drive that apart from profit taking. And if we were seeing profit taking, pardon me, we'd probably be seeing it already. Maybe we are a little bit, and I haven't got around the grounds yet. So that's Euro Kiwi. What else is on my watch list? Euro Swissy. We spoke about Euro Swissy, and I want to see that daily pivot test, and I want to see a bar that looks like that, or like that, or like that. I want to see one of those. So if that were to turn white and it had tested the daily pivot, then that's what I'm looking for. If it turns white without testing the daily pivot, I've got a decision to make. This is a 4-hour chart we're looking at, by the way. We may well get a signal well before that, but I don't see it right now. In fact, I don't see it at all. It's the same thing. I still want to see that lower high. This may be it, and I may miss the boat, but it's not what I want to see. So that's Euro Swissy, exactly the same trade as Euro Kiwi, really, at the end of the day. Euro CAD is another. Oh, don't go yet. Don't go yet. Same thing. I want to see that daily pivot test and a lower high. But I'm hellishly bearish, and I'm just waiting for an opportunity. And I'm not bearish long-term, guys. Don't get me wrong. This is a day trade I'm talking about. I only want to get 40 pips out of the market. That's it, if it's available on any of those. Euro Kiwi, Euro Swiss, Euro CAD. And last one on the Euro list is Euro Pound. Do you get the idea? I'm looking for retracement on the Euro, right? Pursuant to what I said before, at that level at which we find ourselves. 113.60 by the 18th of, that was a little bit of a fun thing I did. Where are we? Euro Pound, right. So daily charts, again, I've got a quandary. I've got this, I won't even call it a lower high, but based on this, it's a lower high. It's a kind of flush out market. I see 3 high test bars sitting on a resistance trade line, but what I don't see is separation between those, and that's what I need to see. I don't like a cluster on a trade line. It doesn't work for me. So that, whilst it does look like a slingshot scenario to trade to the top, it doesn't qualify either, and it's also got a low test that precedes the high test. So what am I looking for here? Well, I'd love to see price get above here and match this high, then come underneath the trade line and retest it. But I've then got a pivot issue. So I really don't know what I can do here. I've got to get clear of this area. It's noise. It's like I said about the other ones. I really want to get short, but I think I've probably got to let this go long to get a better price and go short. That's where I'm at with Euro Pound. And Pound Aussie, as well as Pound Kiwi. Pound Aussie's come onto my radar as well. And I do like this. This is a 30-minute chart. I haven't dropped dead. I'm just contemplating what happens next here. What's the 4-hour telling me? Yeah, don't mind this. Okay, so with Pound Aussie, Pound Kiwi is probably going to look the same, but we'll see. I think I'd rather trade Pound Aussie now than Pound Kiwi, seeing that the Kiwi is on fire. So let's go with this. And what I need to see here in the next hour is exactly what I've got right now. If I were to see that candle close as it is, then I would trade it. And I would trade it long with my stop underneath the bar. So I just trade that bar. And I would take profits. Let me see. So about 50 pips of risk. That would be tons. TP1 there at, let's say, 178.45, and get half off the table very quickly. Why? Because we're in a very strong bearish trend. That's why. So get risk-free as soon as humanly possible, and then ride the rest until it gets probably to the trade line. There's the trade. That's Pound Aussie. Now, if it were to break this level and come back and retest it, then we can enter another position based on that as well. So I do think this can reverse. is what I'm saying. But it is early days. There's no question about that. I think I said to you guys yesterday, or maybe the day before, if we were to see a lower low here, that is a reversal bar, what it really is telling me is that there's strong potential for this to go long, because this is what is known as an accumulation area for, it is a broadening pattern if we get it, but it's an accumulation area for those who seek to drive this up to here. And that will gather speed very, very quickly if we get into this region. So that's probably a really good place to get in here if we can. And the 4-hour chart would be perfect if that closes as is, as I said. The hourly or the 30-minute may provide it a little bit earlier. And we may not even get it on the 4-hour. So if Ash was here, he'd be saying this is a potential right shoulder, okay, on left head, right shoulder. And he'd probably even want to trade that now. But my method is a little bit different to his. I would like to see that broken and retested. That would be a neckline if this is indeed a head and shoulders, or inverted head and shoulders. It's rough, I've got to say, but essentially it's the same thing. What a head and shoulders is a higher low, or sorry, inverted head and shoulders, it's a higher low. That's what it is. Going the other way, it's a lower high. So I'm interested with this. 4-hour chart gets me long with that candle I was talking about, but I won't trade that on a 30-minute or hourly chart because it's far riskier than it is on a 4-hour. I need to see something a little bit different. That could be a false break here. So back above here, retest the confluence area, then I can trade it long. So watch this space, pound Aussie, for a long position. I think that's quite on the cards. And that really was what I'm looking at for the day. And I really got no intention to look beyond those pairs that I've just mentioned, the 5 of them: pound Aussie, euro, pound, Kiwi, Swissy, CAD, all against the euro. There may be, let me have a look at the Aussie. There may be something on the Aussie, but on this, the 4-hour chart, as you can tell here, we don't have the bearish engulfing bar. That kind of spooks me a little bit. If that was a bearish engulfing bar, a lower high would be okay. So this could yet take off again from what I'm seeing. And yeah, it does look like that to me. So I don't have any method of getting short here right now. That's a ring high, I suppose. So that's something. Maybe there is a way. Maybe we can break out here and find maybe that level, come back underneath, get under the daily pivot, retest the confluence area, then we can go short. So there's a way. There's always a way. It's just a matter of how far away it is. That's the thing we've got to combat all the time. How long do I have to wait? And sometimes that can be a week or 2 weeks before it'll actually do what you want it to do. And these will do what I want them to do. It's just a matter of I'm in the front of the chart at the right time. And hopefully that is the case. And hopefully it happens today even. Righto, guys, that is the top of the hour. And I'm going to have a brief look at the 30-minute charts. And then I'm going to bid you adieu. Euro dollar at that level, love it, but yes, still looks strong, doesn't it? That's the monthly chart we're looking at. Of course, the 30-minute chart is telling me that we've got a little double top working for us. We've got nothing other than that at the moment. I can't put a trade line through here, but I can through here. Wow. Have I got steel kahunas? Well, the answer is no. I'm sure you were concerned about that. 17 pips to 4 and a bit, 5. Wow. You could play this, but you've got to take profit at probably around about 4 pips by the time you're taken in. Yeah, it's just too hard. I would wait, and I'd wait for this to happen. If you, I mean, this is a long way from being compulsory. If you think that the euro is still going to rally today, then you wouldn't be interested in this. But if that were to happen, then there's a trade, and the trade's under here, short there. If there was a little bit more space to the low of the day here, or the low of the day was sitting on the daily pivot, I would take this short now. I wouldn't wait, but it's super high risk. And I'm not here to put you guys into super high risk trades. So we won't be doing that, but it's clear to me what needs to happen. The alternate, of course, is to wait till middle of the morning and play it the other way like that. But there's no trade line there at present. Gold. Yeah, look, I'm not a gold person, as you probably know, Dennis, but I'll have a look at the chart. Is it still flying, is it? Wow, look at that. It's the monthly chart, sorry. The daily chart, yeah, still going. Amazing, eh? They're going to drive it up there no matter what. They're determined to do it. And I get the gold story. I do, because that's telling me that the world is, well, the market world, financial market world, is worried. It's concerned. So it is flying to the safe haven of gold. And if you listen to the gold traders and the gold experts, ain't going to stop anytime soon. So, if you trade gold, then if you see a dip like everybody else, and that's what I hate. When everyone else is doing it, I don't want to know about it. And that's why I'll probably not lose, but forego the opportunity to make truckloads of money here on gold. But, that's just the way my mind works. I want to see it. I want to learn how to trade gold, and I'll get into one of Ainsley's classes at one stage and have a look at that. When I return to full-time trading, that's a couple of years away. Okay, can't get it. No, you can't get in there. That's for sure. That's a fact. All right, so back to the 30-minute charts very quickly. Pound Aussie. Where's that gone? It's disappeared on me. Okay, pound Aussie, 30-minute. I'll be stalking this all day. I hope I'm not at dinner when it happens. Nothing there right now, but that bar's good. I like that bar. If that was a 4-hour chart, I would be trading that bar. Long there, stop loss there. But it's not a 4-hour chart. I'll wait until this gets above here, then comes back. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And SH1T, it's not the end of the world. EuroCAD, that's got to come back. And I'm dead set keen on this one too, to get short. The other way to look at that is, yeah, it's rough. But it's not the worst rough. There is a neckline here. But where is it? Is it there? Or is it there? Low of the day has been taken out. Gee, I'd love to see a bull bar come and test the daily pivot now. If that were the case, I would definitely place an order underneath here. Take profit one is clear. It's DS1 So let me look at that. So if you enter there, your risk is going to be 40 pips, 15. Yep, that works. You can take profit there, then let it rip through the weekly period if it's going to. And you could look to exit that trade probably around about here somewhere, maybe DS2. That'll be just a short, sharp trade. You get probably about 1.5, 2 to 1 out of it net, I would think. So I'll be looking for that one as well. If this all happens while I'm at dinner, I won't be happy. Euro pounds, another one that I'm looking for, but I've kind of quelled my enthusiasm for it, I must say. Though that bar there looks interesting. It's very, very similar to what was the other one upside down? Pound Aussie. Looks very, very similar. Again, I think I need to wait. Back underneath here, retest. Okay, mine's made up. Euro Kiwi, I think we've dismissed that one until we break out of the area. Euro Swiss, again, we've got to see this up here, lower high. Again, we've probably got a bit of a neckline through here. So that's an alternate way to look at it. Break, take out the low, retest short. And finally, Euro CAD. Oh, we just looked at it, did we? Yes, we did. We looked at Euro CAD. Okay. That's me, guys. I am done. And frustratingly, we just cannot find the right timing in this show this week to get into the market. Apart from pound yesterday, is that still in the market or are we going the other way? Yeah, it's not too dusty. There's still some hope. And if we can get profit in the breakout trade today, then we'll be well headed back towards our entry. And who knows, where there's life, there's hope. Chandru, thank you, mates. We will see you later. Those of you, as I say, in Strategy Leader Coaching, that takes place between 8:15 and 8:45 this evening. It'll probably go a little bit longer than that. I do have a structured presentation for you on context, trading my strategy in context. Very, very important. And we've touched on that today to some degree. See you, Dennis. Have a good one, mates. Enjoy that wine. And everybody else that won't be in either the US session or my strategy session a bit later on, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your patience and perseverance this week. It's been a tough one for my strategy, but if you've been trading trends, you should have been doing okay, I would have thought. We will see if we can correct that over the next 24 hours or so. Have a great weekend, guys. I won't be with you next week. Ash will, and he'll be joined by the usual suspects that we've had this week. My thanks to all of those presenters that came on. And we've got the Big O tonight in the US session again. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye for now.